I've tried to film this intro like a bajillion times, so I'm just gonna get it over with. Welcome to the Dang It Grandpa Fandom Iceberg. This started because I found a video called The Craziest Brony Moments in History, and as I was watching it, I was like, there has to be a Danganronpa equivalent to this, okay? Because, like, it's Danganronpa. It's up there with the likes of Undertale, Homestuck, Steven Universe. Like, it's up there, okay? There has to be, like, a cohesive deep dive on this fandom. And there wasn't. There was like one-off videos and like maybe like a little 30-minute short compilation of like things that have happened, but not a good lore analysis, hour-long at least video talking about the atrocities of this fandom. Which is so weird because I feel like this is the perfect fandom to make like an analysis on. And ever since I made the Iceberg and it's been sitting in my camera roll, there have been some people who have made videos about it, but not a good like deep dive like I've been craving. So I will link like a bunch of other videos in like the comments that I think you should check out after this one if you are interested in like Danganronpa fandom history, which is so weird to say. But until then, welcome to the Danganronpa fandom Iceberg. I'm Bea. It's nice to meet you. This iceberg's going to work a little different than typical icebergs. Usually it's like well-known stuff at the top and then like more obscure stuff at the bottom. But then we'd have the Nagito edit and the Nagito Kinney finger on the same tier, which just feels wrong. So it's going to be more normal stuff at the top and more fucked up stuff at the bottom. That way, the Nagito edit and the Nagito Kinney finger incident will both be on here, but just in like completely different tiers because one is normal and one should send you to the psych ward, okay? Like, we are not the same. And by no means is this going to be the perfect video. I'm just one person. I joined the fandom in 2020, so I wasn't even in the trenches in 2019 and 18. If anything, I want this video to be like a community-based thing. If you have something or know something that you believe should be on the iceberg but isn't, please comment it. If you were ever doxxed for not shipping Sayoma, please comment it. If you remember where you were when you saw that video of snow in the graveyard, please comment it. Like, this is a safe space for all of us to share our Dangan trauma. And by no means is everything this fandom made bad. There's a lot of great and positive things that have come out of this fandom. If you look past like the literal war crimes they've also committed, a lot of artists, cosplayers, editors, even like game developers, like literally so many of y'all are talented as fuck, and you can't help it that some of the people in this fandom just need to go to a psych ward, you know? Shit happens. But I'm going to stop yapping. I don't want this intro to be too long. I'll have timestamps for specific entries if you're looking for something specific. If not, let's start with the most normal shit. Okay, I've got my lovely iceberg right here where it's been waiting for 2 years. The first tier is going to be all like the really popular mainstream type of stuff. Things that people that don't even know what Danganronpa is will definitely know about. Oh, but like, how would you know about Danganronpa if you weren't in the fandom? If you were on TikTok in 2020 to 2022, you have definitely heard of Danganronpa audio, which is the first entry on this tier. The mainstream Danganronpa audios. So many clips from Danganronpa were really popular for some reason. I'm not gonna sit here and like list all of them myself, so I'm just gonna play some for you.
How about you just keep your fucking mouth shut, you lying little abortion! Bingo! Bullseye! Right on the money! This is so embarrassing! I just want to kill myself!
But like, these were all over TikTok. You had people with them verified check marks using this, so-called normies as we would call them frickin' back in 2020. Everyone was using these audios. You didn't even have to be like a cosplayer or an anime creator. Like literally, we had frickin' James Charles using one of these audios, okay?
He's gonna burst a blood vessel because I dissed his wife.
It did not matter who you were, what you were, your race, your sex, your ethnicity, your class. We were all bound together by Danganronpa audios, okay? And they were everywhere. Speaking of Danganronpa audios, let's go to the next entry. The 2 to the 1 to the 1 to the 3.
Yoko ran away. Is it just me?
This is a very popular like format within like a ton of fandoms. But in Danganronpa specifically, I swear every single character had a variation of this audio, okay? Like literally, if you played one of these right now, I would be like a Russian sleeper agent and probably know every word. On the topic of trends and trending audios, let's talk about the cosplayers have no backs trend. This was a trend that used a Danganronpa audio and was heavily used by Danganronpa cosplayers, but again wasn't limited to the Danganronpa fandom, where cosplayers would see if they had no backs, how far could they bend over without falling? This was just very popular. And on the topic of being popular, like, can't you see like the theme for this tier? This tier's theme is just popular mainstream Danganronpa stuff, okay? The tri-split TikToks. Cosplayers all throughout this fandom were using that freaking tri-split screen. I would know because I did it. Not in Danganronpa cosplay, because once again, this isn't limited to just Danganronpa cosplayers, but I did it in fucking Gyro Zeppeli cosplay and it looked like shit. Cosplayers would get this tri-split effect and they would do their little Danganronpa poses in 2x speed. Heck, put Danganronpa posing on here on this tier. I didn't even think of that. Junko posing, throw that on the tier. That was popular too. Everyone trying to see how fast they could do it.
You want my pronouns, I'm the man who don't respect.
Let's look at the stats, I've got the facts. My money like Lizzo, my pockets are fat. Homie, I'm epic, don't be a wap. Dog, it's a yarmulke, homie, no cap.
And dare I say, Danganronpa cosplayers, like, paved the way for the tri-split TikTok. I could be wrong. I know tri-split was, like, really popular in, like, 2019, and, like, so was, like, the 2x speed kind of thing. But I don't know. In the era of 2020 and 2021, this just like Danganronpa took first place. They were sprinting ahead. The fandom led the charge. To finish up with the trending audios or just anything to do with audios, I'm just gonna get it out of the way now. Byakuya's voice actor doing custom voice lines if you voted.
Y'all, I'm here with my best friend. Best friend, show him your moves. Go.
Just in time for the 2020 election, Byakuya's voice actor made a post saying if you showed him proof that you voted, he would do a custom voice line of your choosing, as long as it wasn't too, like, weird, obviously. You can't have him saying crazy shit.
No, I am not your poor little meow meow. I am Byakuya Togami. Kyoko, stop laughing. You two, Makoto, don't act like I can't see you two. Birds be like, byom 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 byom.
And this led to a skyrocket of Byakuya voice lines that just went everywhere. Even some of these were like trending mainstream popular audios, okay? These were everywhere. You had Byakuya Togami, of all the characters in Danganronpa, saying anything you wanted at your disposal. It was like the perfect storm.
Carcalicious definition makes the shippers go crazy. Nepeta's always squealing cutesy pet names like Carkitty.
But now that we have like all the audio stuff out of the way, let's continue down like our mainstream voyage, okay? And where would we be? Where would we be as a society, as a fandom, as a people, without the Nagito edit by Blue Acrasia?
Nature's corrupted and such is far away.
Our savior Blue Acrasia made a Nagito edit, probably thinking it would just be another post of theirs. Little did they know the impact they would have on us as a society. I don't know exactly how many views it has on TikTok as of right now, but on YouTube it has 10.2 million views. And that's for an edit on YouTube, okay? 10.2 million views. Every goddamn person in the fandom knew this edit and watched it a bajillion times. I know because I was one of them. That edit is the reason why I started listening to the Gorillaz. The edit was so popular that they even remade it, I'm pretty sure either this year or in 2023. And even that did huge numbers. Blue Acrasia themselves is just also responsible for like a ton of iconic and well done animations / edits. They are amazing. Shout out to Blue Acrasia. We will never stop loving you, okay? You do wonders. I don't know how you animators and editors do it. And that closes out our first tier. Now this second tier also is pretty normal as the first tier was, but this stuff isn't as mainstream popular trending. This is just like normal fandom behavior, normal fandom inside jokes, stuff like that. Okay, so we're not getting into weird shit yet, but we're also kind of stepping into the fandom and not on like the outskirts anymore. The first thing I just want to preface, we've already talked about Nagito, but this has its own tier itself. Nagito being fucking everywhere, okay? I can't explain to you, Nagito is like the mascot of Danganronpa. You thought it was Monokuma, Junko? No. It's not that stupid bear, it's that stupid white-haired okay? He is everywhere, and it doesn't help that his voice actor, Bryce Papenbrook, is also everywhere. So anytime Bryce Papenbrook is somewhere, so is Nagito. He's literally in a freaking Meow Mix commercial and people were doing backflips over that, okay?
Frisky's World. Look, extra gravy.
Nagito is just everywhere, whether he's shitting his pants,
I think I just shit my pants.
or in the Nintendo DS.
Hello there, everyone. It's me, Nagito Kamida on the Nintendo DS.
Getting arrested, or having a birthday on Nickelodeon.
Mom, I want to go to McDonald's because they have Nagito Komaeda on the McDonald's menu board.
I want you to take a shot every time Nagito is mentioned on this iceberg, because he's on at least 50% of it, and if you don't get alcohol poisoning by the end, I'll be fucking proud of you. But let's get into something a little juicy. You know, we've been talking about really like calm stuff, really simple stuff. Let's get into something a little more juicy, something a little more Danganronpa fandom-y. Let's talk about accessorized cosplayers, or shall I say over-accessorized cosplayers. Now, accessorizing your cosplays was just like peak 2020. If you look back on videos or like people making videos about 2020, there's always this emphasis on over accessorizing. You've got the monster can guns, you've got the butterfly clips, you've got the dramatic eyeliner and like the freaking eyeliner marks on your nose, and it's just all about more. Bright colors, saturation, it's all about more. Over accessorized cosplayers kind of got mixed reception, one half being that's cringe and the other half being that's really cool and I like your interpretation of the character. And just Danganronpa fans really latched to this. I did it myself. I had the butterfly clips, I had the eyeliner stuff, and dare I say I looked really fucking good, okay? I pulled off that cosplay. I keep talking so fast. I need to take a break. Speaking of cosplays though, let's go to Ibuki Miyota with no wig. So this was just a really popular and trending video within the fandom at the time of an Ibuki cosplayer with no wig.
Ibuki Miyota with no wig.
Ibuki Miyota with no wig. And just at the time, this was like peak humor, peak comedy, and it inspired a lot of other videos.
I am Kokichi Yoma with no wig.
My name is Mitari. No wig. Who. I don't do makeup under the eye patch. Shh.
And it's just one of those things where it's like, everyone knew that video. You know, it was always Ibuki cosplayers too. It was either Ibuki or Mikan, and it was always white Mikan or Ibuki cosplayers, which we could get into later. On the topic of Ibuki, let's talk about I Squeezed Out the Baby and I have no idea who the father is. So this was a fan song that was created based off the original song in Danganronpa 2 where Ibuki sings, except this song is like completely different from the song Ibuki sings, and there's like actual lyrics and stuff where in Ibuki's song In-Game she's doing mostly like screamo and like heavy metal shit, and this song was like really fun and really popular. A lot of cosplayers used it and it was trending. I used to listen to it just like regularly on my own, and yeah, again, this is like an example of like good things coming out of this fandom. Like, here's a fan song that actually is really good and really well done and has really good vocals. Like, thank you. Like, not everyone in this fandom is freaking weird. Like, finally. Like, we'll get into the proof of Danganronpa fans committing war crimes, like, later down in the tiers, but right now we're just really seeing, like, a lot of, like, we're going strong. Like, let's go. Why can't every fan be like this? Are you ready for your shot glasses? Okay. Do you have your shot glasses ready? Because this next entry? Because this next entry has to do with Nagito, okay? Bottoms up. Do you like boats? This was a really popular joke within the fandom from like 2018, 2019. So this is like pre-2020. A lot of people, when they hear like Danganronpa fandom, they think of like the 2020 era of the Danganronpa fandom. But this is one of the entries that has to do with pre-2020 Danganronpa fandom, or pre-COVID Danganronpa fandom. I feel like that summarizes it better because, like, it's not that the year 2020 had anything to do with it. It's the fact that we were all in quarantine and locked in our rooms. So this is like the first entry that has to do with pre-COVID Danganronpa fandom. And this was just a popular inside joke, and it had to do with Komahina. First Komahina mention, bottoms up, guys. In the scene in Danganronpa 2 where, like, I guess it's Kamakura and not Hajime, they're in the boat on their way to the island, and Nagito's there with, like, his weird-ass Junko hand. He's like, do you like boats? Yeah, my name's Nagito. You're pretty cool, I guess. It's been a while since I've seen Danganronpa 2, okay? So, like, don't judge me if that was, like, a bad impression of it. Please don't dox me. Komahina fans, please don't dox me. Thank you. So once again, normal fandom shenanigans. We love to see it. Next up, we have the confession accounts. And again, I have to preface, this isn't just a Danganronpa thing, okay? Lots of fandoms have confession accounts, but this was just like a real, just another simple fandom classic moment in Danganronpa. A confession account where people could say either really normal opinions or really out there opinions, okay? So how normal this was varies depending on the confession, and I haven't found a lot of Danganronpa confession accounts that are still up, but they used to be really popular.
Not this.
Are you ready for your freaking shot glasses again? Because we're talking about Nagito. Specifically, Nagito murks in the game Identity V. So, IDV or Identity V, which, again, whole other fandom, honestly, deserves a whole other iceberg. We could get to that another day. But IDV and Danganronpa had a crossover. They've had 3 in total so far, I believe. But when they released Nagito in the game, boy. Now, IDV and Danganronpa crossover deserves its own place on this iceberg. Here, boom, I'll add it. But IDV Nagito mercs. Nagito mercs were just, like, infamous for being so bad at actually playing merc. Like, I'm not going to get into, like, the specifics of IDV, but, like, just know, like, that these people were terrible, okay? The crossover led to, like, an influx of, like, new players, because obviously if there's Danganronpa, the fandom will follow, okay? I was one of these people. The Danganronpa crossover is why I started playing IDV, okay? So we all started playing IDV and we had no idea what we were doing. So for the people who, like, actually play this game and like it, and you see that bitch with the Nagito skin, you know we're fucked. Now, this crossover led to, like, a lot of great moments. Like, you have, like, Nagito being able to do the breakdance emote, and you have Hajime also being able to do this emote, and IDV deserves its own fandom iceberg, honestly. Maybe that'll be my next video, I don't know, but just those Nagito mercs were pretty insane, especially with, like, the new game mode in IDV where, like, it's kind of like Among Us. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm gonna dance again the way I dance with you. I love you.
Oh my god, wow, I love your singing. Anyway, you mean that you're never gonna dance again because you're too fucking fat to dance again?
Leave with long faces. This is really interesting, Violet. But you see, it's already...
And let's end this tier strong with another Nagito mention. Nagito X Sans. I don't have to say anything about Nagito X Sans, okay? You have really famous guy from Danganronpa and Tumblr sexy man. Of course people are going to ship them, okay? Like, It's not a question of will it happen, it's a question of when it will happen. And it did happen. Nagito X Sans is just a thing, and I don't have to explain it because it speaks for itself.
With the mic and the hand trick. You like ships, right? Whatever floats your boat, kid.
Now we're gonna start diving into some things that are a little more weird and a little more thought-provoking, okay? We're getting into some more juicier shit, okay? We're done with the normal fandom shenanigans, okay? We're gonna get into classic Danganronpa fandom action, okay? In all of its glory. I don't want to give you guys whiplash though and just jump into crazy shit like doxing, so let's start with something a bit more like a little, let's dip our toes in, okay? And let's talk about the waifu house of Mizuno. So this guy, I'm pretty sure he's based in California. He makes cardboard cutouts of things, he makes printouts, that's what his whole TikTok is about. So it was one day he decided to just print out Sayaka Mizuno all over his house. Every single room covered with pictures of her. And it got to a point where he literally made his house the Church of Mizuno. And I'm not kidding, this dude has articles written about him, okay? This dude loves Sayaka, and she's all over his house alongside his many other cardboard cutouts. He literally met the creator of Danganronpa, and allegedly the reason why he's able to spend his free time making cutouts is because his father created the movie Grease. Hello? So yeah, he was just that guy with the House of Mizuno, the Church of Mizuno. Just another day. But that's enough fun and games. Okay, let's just get right into it. Doxing. We all know what doxing is, and you may think, well, how is this specific to Danganronpa? This happens not even inside fandom space. This happens everywhere. Well, buddy, let me tell you, you wouldn't just get doxed, okay, because someone had it out for you. You could get doxed over anything in this fandom. If you didn't ship a certain ship, here's your address. If you didn't like a certain character, here's your school. If you didn't put a trigger warning for a certain character, here's the location of your grandma's grave, okay? People were getting doxxed left and right. And I have to say that the Danganronpa fandom has a really large audience of kids. Like preteens, teenagers. It has a really big like kid following. So the fact that kids and teenagers, minors, were getting regularly doxxed for stupid shit like not liking Kokichi Oma was crazy. And it was probably other kids doxing people. Like, who taught this 12-year-old how to get your IP address, your grandma's full maiden name, where she's laid to rest, your school, your mom's work, and your house? Like, how do 12-year-olds just do this? On a similar note, but not quite, is shifting. Shifting was just a really popular thing in like the anime TikTok space of 2020. Not even anime, I think just fandoms in general. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some like millennial woman was trying to shift into Harry Potter. But shifting again was a really popular thing, and a lot of people shifted or said they had shifting stories, shifting tips. Guys, don't shift here at 3 a.m. or else Kokichi Oma will show up in your bed right now. And I don't know like how many people were either just like saying it for clout or were actually having like psychotic episodes of watching like Ibuki hit the gritty in their room or something. But it was a really real phenomena, and it definitely had to do with the fact that we were all in quarantine and going crazy. And what is a fandom without a little bit of discourse, without a little bit of controversy, without some arguing, okay? There was lots of discourse in the Danganronpa fandom. And one of those arguments was about homophobic Kaito discourse. Now, apparently in the original Japanese sub of the game, Kaito uses a homophobic slur, which led to a lot of people believing he was homophobic, and they would basically dog on you for liking Kaito, defending Kaito, and this was just like a big disagreement within the fandom. But this was by far not the only discourse that regularly happened. We also have
Pre-game, Sayuma.
Okay, you had people believing that there was like this Sayoma thing happening in the pregame of Danganronpa 3 where they were in this toxic relationship and Shuichi was a yandere and Kokichi was abused and that's why he lied and stuff. It was just like, it was just a lot, okay? There was also discourse that didn't have to do with the games, but had to do with cosplays. A lot of characters have questionable character design choices, and it was just common sense among fans not to wear these items of clothing because they resembled something else. So whenever people would wear those items of clothing and cosplay, it definitely sparked a little bit of controversy, a little bit of discourse, a lot of conversation about, guys, what are we doing?
So what I did in the past week, I realized it was horribly inappropriate, disrespectful, and wildly selfish. Jewish people have gone through so much, and for me to use their past trauma for attention was out of line.
I guess this also has to go with the game too, not just the fandom, because like, why are we designing characters with those articles of clothing? But like, Spike Chunsoft doesn't make a lot of good choices, okay? They truly don't. The next entry are the trigger warnings for certain characters. Whether you were on a Discord server or it was a TikTok, a lot of the times people would put trigger warnings or content warnings for certain characters because certain people would be triggered by these characters. Now, this was kind of like a weird, like, nuanced subject, so like I'm not gonna dive into it, but I definitely think it's kind of odd. And looking back, it's like, guys, why do we need a trigger warning for Gundam? Okay, but that was really commonplace. And speaking of like triggering and like mental health things and like, oh no, like warnings, no doubles.
No doubles. I'm a Mikan IRL and I find this very offensive. It's very triggering for them. Very. I can't believe this. You need to leave. Go home and change.
This was, again, beyond the Danganronpa fandom, but it was really common for there to be like this no doubles rule when cosplaying characters. Like if you were in like a cosplay meetup or you were in a Discord server, certain people would be like, bitch, no, you don't understand. I'm Mikan. Like, I know what, I'm not just cosplaying her. Like, I'm Mikan. Like, seeing you as Mikan right now is just like they literally said no doubles for a reason. If you were going to a cosplay meetup, if you were going into a server, if they said no doubles, they meant it. You cannot cosplay or roleplay or claim to be or even kin a character that was already taken, okay? You better back up. We're on like the 4th tier now. So it's not all like as like, but like let's talk about something a bit more fun. Okay, can we talk about Kokichi versus Putin? Okay. Kokichi versus Putin is basically in Russians like democratic like election for presidency, a lot of people were suggesting Kokichi Oma on the ballot and were pushing for Kokichi Oma to be the president of Russia. It fits his character as the ultimate supreme leader, I guess. Like, it was just a really good bit, and it was doing numbers, okay? It had articles written about it, and allegedly it got Kokichi banned in Russia. So this was like a really popular and a really crazy moment that this fandom has committed. Like, people were like legitimately like writing Kokichi's name on voting ballots, and not just like a couple people. Like, it was like, we were going places, guys, okay? We were this close to having Kokichi Oma as president. Also, on a lighthearted note, let's talk about the Mikan period pad wig. Remember what I was talking about with those over-accessorized cosplayers? Okay, it wasn't always sunshine and rainbows, okay? It wasn't always just butterfly clips and eyeliner. We had period pads in our wigs, okay? This was a Mikan cosplayer who accessorized their beautiful wig with a period pad. Luckily, if I'm correct, it was not used. It was just a plain old period pad. Thank God. I thought it was kind of camp, okay? Like, I know it was weird or whatever, but like, they kind of ate with that, okay? I'm not gonna lie. Like, it was camp, okay? And let's keep talking about cosplayers, okay? Let's talk about the Ibuki cosplayer that threw off their cosplay because they saw the police were driving by. There is no video record of this TikTok that I could find, but I know it happened because I saw it with my own freaking eyes, okay? This Ibuki cosplayer was outside and they were in cosplay making a TikTok, and then the police drove by, so they immediately started like ripping off their cosplay and like being like fearful, and they got a lot of people were mad at them for this because this cosplayer was white, okay? And this was in a time where a thing called Black Lives Matter was happening, so like it was just really insensitive to see like a white person being like, oh, the police, I need to take off my cosplay or else blah blah blah. Like, my brother in Christ, like, being in cosplay does not make you in danger of the police, okay? I need you to look at your palms, at your wrist, like, you're fine. Like, I promise. They made like a response to this being like, you guys don't know like what history I have with the police and like my life and blah blah blah. Honestly, like, the whole like nuanced conversation about it aside, I thought was fucking hilarious, because like, what is this bitch doing, like throwing off their cosplay because they see the cops drive by? Like, that's the kind of stuff I do, like, if I'm in cosplay in my room and I hear my mom knock on the door, like, then I start throwing all my shit off, okay? Like, if you're already outside and in public, does it really take the police driving by for you to throw that shit off? You already are out there in public, okay? Like, people are gonna see you. Like, some of those people are also the police, I guess. But my friend, it's not all fun and games. My brothers in Christ, we are about to talk about one of the most infamous things in this damn fandom. And bring out your shot glasses. Bring out your buzzball, your lemon drops. We need to talk about limbless Hajime. We all know this damn image of Hajime, okay? We all know it. But I had no idea that there's more to this image than him just being limbless. You might have been like me and just been like, oh, well, when they were like the remnants of despair, you know, you had like Mikan taking Junko's womb and like Nagito taking Junko's hand. Like, maybe Hajime just like became an amputee. I don't know. I know he was like a reserve corps student. I didn't think too much of it. It's just like, haha, funny. Hajime is limbless. Ha ha ha. You're fucking wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. Limbless Hajime comes from a fanfic, not a fanfic, a doujin of... It comes from a doujin, a Koma Hina doujin. That's where you take your shot. Koma Hina. It's not just Hina, it's Koma Hina, okay? I'm sorry, I need to take a breather. Limbless Hajime comes from a Koma Hina doujin titled Piece of Garbage or Absolute Scum, okay? That's where we're getting started. This was released October 18th, 2013. This shit has a whole fandom wiki page, okay? So I'm not going to go into the specifics of the doujin just because, like, I have to touch on all the other entries in this iceberg. I can make a whole separate video on what Limbless Hajime is, but I'm sure there are plenty other videos out there like that. So let me just give you a brief synopsis. Basically, Nagito is taking care of Hajime because he's like limbless and like traumatized and whatever. And he like is feeding him and like getting him dressed and like cleaning off his mouth and like licking his mouth clean. And there's a scene where Hajime somehow masturbates, like, by, like, riding the carpet on the ground or something. And then him and Nagito have a little freaky thing. And it's just its own thing. And there's other entries on this iceberg I need to talk about. But Limbless Hajime, I had no idea it was more than this. What the hell? Hello? This is not the previous location I was filming at, is it? It's not. Well, let me sit down. You may be a bit confused why I'm in a completely new location. Well, what happened was I filmed the whole iceberg and everything and it was great, but then I decided, you know, we obviously have to talk about a few characters. And by characters, I mean real people. I feel like all of the problematic people this fandom has produced belong in their own little category. So, and I forgot to talk about a few of them. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I did. So, welcome to the new location. This is my dorm. Welcome. But while we're here, let's talk about some people. Also, guys, do I look like Bayonetta? Don't answer that. So in the actual Iceberg, this little section of like canceled cosplayers will be like scattered around based on where they fall in the iceberg. However, it just is more convenient for me to place them all in one setting in one part of the video, which will be now, okay? However, I'm going to start off with a little rapid fire and knock 3 out in one go, okay? We're going to start with Sailor Mars, Coffee Kaz, and Korekiyo's Munch. Now, you may know Sailor Mars and not know the other two, or you may just know Sailor Mars and Coffee Kaz and not even know who Korekiyo's Munch is. That's because Korekiyo's Munch is kind of went under the radar, okay? It was just kind of one of those that I typically wouldn't put on this iceberg. Like, it kind of just, like, didn't stick out, blah, 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 stuff like that. However, if I told you all 3 of these canceled cosplayers are connected, what if I told you that? Now, when I was doing my research, it originally was on Sailor Mars, and then my research on Sailor Mars led me to Coffee Kaz, and my research on Coffee Kaz led me to Korekiyo's Munch, and I was like, Korekiyo's Munch is familiar. That's right, that's because they're the cosplayer that was doing the apology video during the anti-Semitic discourse entry, okay? Everything is connected. It runs deep, okay? So let me tell you this lore, okay? Let me fill you in. Let me set the scene, okay? Sailor Mars, we're going to start there. Popular cosplayer, very popular, well known for their aesthetic in their cosplays, okay? Very famous Danganronpa cosplayer. And they were known to be disabled, okay? They had mobility aids and everything, okay? So it took the world by surprise when it was exposed by Coffee Kaz that Sailor Mars was faking their disability. Can't be doing that. Also, allegedly, and I couldn't find anything on this, allegedly Sailor Mars was faking being Blasian when they were actually just white, okay? So, exposing Sailor Mars, Coffee Kaz is now in the good graces of the people of the Danganronpa community. However, that doesn't last long, because 2 years later, in 2023, it is revealed that Coffee Kaz is not so clean themselves. Nay, nay, nay. I know my job is to like summarize it and everything, but I think it'd just be best if you heard it from Coffee Kaz themselves, okay? Because this is one hell of a video.
Hi, so something I'd like to come on here and address and take accountability for. So last night I left a comment on a cosplay's video that was extremely ignorant, insensitive, and was a microaggression. This was the video I left it on. People in the comments were confused on what had happened and why this cosplayer's Yanfei cosplay had been ruined. One comment in particular had asked what had happened and assumed that they could not cosplay Yanfei anymore, and asked what was wrong. I then replied stating that it was an individual experience with their specific Yanfei cosplay, and that they were still allowed to cosplay Yanfei. I then later on got a reply asking why specifically them, or why it was targeted at them. This was then the comment I made in reply. The creator specifically had made a video expressing what I had said was wrong and expressing their feelings. My response to this was to attempt to apologize. However, this apology was not okay in the slightest, and I messed up. In said apology, I brought up my physical disability to try to emphasize with the situation. However, that was not okay at all, and I'm sorry, I should not have brought up my physical disability.
So in case you didn't catch that, Coffee Kaz left that comment under a post, which is kind of crazy, but okay. And this led to them getting outed for other racist microaggression type things. Now, you may be thinking, okay, in their apologies and their addressing videos, which are still up, you can still look at Coffee Kaz's account if you want to go through all of these and you want to see their old posts and their old content. All of it's still up, so you can find it yourself. And I was watching these and I was like, okay, I mean, this obviously as a white person, I can't like dictate if this is a good apology or not. However, you know, these are like, I feel like this could be a learning experience. Coffee Kaz can make a comeback. You know, they're constantly talking about how they're educating themselves and wanting to be better. And it's this that is going to get them in trouble, okay? It's this education. This is what caught me off guard, okay? I already was taken aback about like the freaking comment they left. Like I literally like I was like, oh, when I watched the video. But this is where it gets fucking crazy. Okay, so then in this series of Coffee Kaz addressing situations and apologizing to certain people, they apologized to Korekiyo's Munch. Now, if you recall, Korekiyo's Munch was called out for being, like, let's be honest, low-key anti-Semitic, because what Korekiyo's Munch did is they were basically trying to defend Korekiyo's design, and when Jewish people were coming out and saying, like, hey, Parts of Krekio's design and his cosplay just don't sit right. Maybe if you could not like wear those parts, or maybe if you could stop defending the design, that'd be great. And Krekio's Munch was like, whatever, I do what I want. This led to Krekio's Munch getting doxxed. Now, put a pin in that, okay? Krekio's Munch is doxxed. Put a pin in that. Let's go back to Coffee Cause. So, in this apology to Krekio's Munch, Coffee Cause is saying how literally just that day, just like recently, they were in a Discord or listening to a little talking session between Black cosplayers. And, you know, to educate themselves on being anti-racist in the cosplay community, okay? Coffee Cause was listening to that little talking session to educate themselves, okay?
For this, they had held a stage meeting where a bunch of Black creators discussed their own struggles with racism and anti-Blackness, and just overall racism and anti-Blackness in the community and overall in the world. And I sat there and I listened to all of it.
So the focus of this talking session, one of the things they brought up is how scary it is to be doxxed as a Black cosplayer, okay? Because, you know, getting doxxed in general is scary, but as a Black person, it adds a layer of danger.
One of the things that they discussed was being doxxed or having their address given to a dangerous person. And due to this, they discussed their fear of people coming to their homes and killing them or threatening them, or them being taken out of their homes, and many more very, very horrible things.
Okay, so Coffee Cause literally just listened to a talk about how scary it is to be doxxed as a Black person. Krekio's Munch is a Black person who was just doxxed. And Coffee Cause somehow decided to post this image. It is a screenshot of Krekio's Munch basically freaking out because they got doxxed. Rightfully so, okay? Like, are you an anti-Semitic bitch? Yes, you are. But, like, that doesn't mean you should get doxxed, okay? Because I'm not going to get into why doxing is wrong, okay? I already did that. Anyways, Krekio's Munch made a post on why they're freaking out because they got doxxed. And Coffee Cause, after listening to this talk through about how scary it is to get doxxed as a Black person, screenshots it and says, "Womp womp, cry, cry." This is where Coffee Cause lost it for me, because after repeated offenses of using microaggressions and being racist, after literally being enlightened and educated, you say the most insensitive shit. How do you manage to do that? You know, you're out here saying you're going to educate yourself and you're going to better yourself, and you literally just tell us flat out, hey, I quote unquote educated myself and I went to a little talk through, but then I did the thing that they were literally talking about. Okay. So that's how Sailor Mars, Krekio's Munch, and Coffee Cause are all connected, and we just knocked out 3 in 1 stone. Next up on the chopping block is Kyo-Cause. Now, I forgot to talk about Kyo-Cause in the original Iceberg video, which is kind of crazy because I don't understand how I could forget such a wonderful face. I truly don't. So, Kyo-Cause popped off on TikTok in the Danganronpa in the cosplay community because, as you can see from the pictures, they definitely were a cosplayer, they definitely were using makeup, and they definitely were styling wigs, okay? But a lot of people came to Kyo-Cause and supported him because, you know, as cosplayers, we all start somewhere. We don't just immediately start popping off when we start cosplaying, okay? Like, if you were gonna bully Kyo-Cause, I want to see your first cosplay picture. Here's mine. So let's continue to bully Kyo-Cause. I'm joking. Anyways, everything was all fine and dandy. Kyo-Cause had lots of supporters until it was exposed to the public that he made jokes about SA, allegedly doxed someone, which I couldn't find anything on, but did something involving doxing, and made lesbophobic remarks. Once Kyo-Cause got exposed for this behavior, a lot of people stopped being so nice to him, and it was very commonplace to joke about the appearance of their cosplays, which some people didn't like because it's like, you know, there are other cosplayers out there that cosplay similarly to Kyokas, and they're just beginners, you know, like they don't deserve that hate. And in my opinion, cosplayers that are first starting out, you're right, they don't deserve the hate. They're just starting out. We've all been there. However, it's not the makeup skills that were ugly. It's not the wigs that were ugly. It's not the videos that were cringe. It was his soul, his attitude, and his behavior that was ugly, which in turn makes you ugly in every way. Like, if your soul is ugly, it doesn't matter if you look like Megan Fox. You're gonna look like a troll after, okay? So, you know, do what you will. Say what comments you will. Don't be too rude, but a little comment about that lip. Ooh! Don't worry, that's not gonna kill anyone, okay? And I know I've been a bit comedic in this little segment about our canceled people over here. And that is just because, like, we're about to get into some atrocious shit. And, you know, it is serious. It is serious. So I'm gonna try to calm down. Can we talk about Tenko hugs? Yes, Tenko hugs. This is, like, a very big example of canceled cosplayer in the Danganronpa community. This is a very popular example. Tenko Hugs was very well known for her Mikan cosplay, specifically this video to the freaking Macarena song or whatever. I remember seeing that video before she was canceled, and I was like, I really like their makeup and their use of props. This is a very nice cosplay. Like, and then it got outed that they were like literally everything in the book. They didn't like Mexicans. They didn't like poor people. They didn't like anybody, okay? They were terrible. Yikes. And they did make an apology video.
And final apology. I do want to address that this apology is genuine. It's not fake. I'm not demanding people to forgive me, and I understand that I deserve all the hate. I just think that leaving more hate under my page is just going to make the situation worse when everything's just trying to be fixed. I do understand that people do not need to forgive me, but if you do not fall into the category of the people that I've hurt, then you have no say on the topic. You cannot forgive me.
And the apology video kind of reads like every other YouTube apology, kind of. But I'm assuming that the apology video didn't smooth over well because they did delete their account. And occasionally they do come back to TikTok, okay? Occasionally they do come back to TikTok where they are stricken down once again. Like, everyone unites and collectively mass reports and mass blocks their account, and it's really beautiful to see. However, I'm pretty sure they do have an account up right now. I'm not going to name it because I don't want to give them attention, but if you find it, just so happen to find it on your own, feel free to block them because yikes. Oh, also, in 2024, literally there were all these rumors. Oh my god, guys, Tenko Hugs was innocent the whole time. Oh my god, Tenko Hugs freaking overdosed. What are we talking about? I could not find any evidence for any of these things at all. What do you mean Tenko Hugs was innocent? Tenko Hugs overdosed. What the fuck are we talking about? Guys, what happened to the original plot of the movie?
As of editing this, Mia Kokichi literally just happened, and I wish she would have fucked around while I was filming this video. Oh my god.
So all the people going from here on out are actually like terrible people, okay? Not saying that the people before weren't terrible, because they did commit and do terrible things, but you know, we're getting into very unredeemable water now, okay? So we're gonna talk about real Iruma and Kion, Winter's Red Thought, okay? I'm not going to go too into detail because I don't want to give these two the time of day like I did with the other three. Was it 3 or 4? It was 4. The other 4. I don't really want to give these two the time of day because these are actually just like terrible, unredeemable people. Really, Ruma and Kion got outed for being abusive and toxic. Uh-oh.
Kion specifically was really shocking because they used their platform to voice a lot of struggles within the Black cosplay community, and they were really looked up to.
Had trouble finding videos about them and what they did, but I mean, when it comes down to it, that's really the basics. Like, they were toxic and bad people and they hurt people. I did find this though, this comment by one of the people that exposed really Ruma, and you know, Good for you. Notice how this cosplayer, they used to go by Funky Miyota. Notice how they're still thriving. You know, there are still good people in this fandom. There are still normal people in this fandom. And Funky Miyota is still delivering cosplay content to this day and eats it the fuck up. Shout out to Funky Miyota. So if you know the Danganronpa fandom like I do, you may know that I have failed to mention one specific person that is infamously known for being the terrible Danganronpa person, the terrible Danganronpa cosplayer, like literally the scum of the earth. And I will be talking about them now. That person is Snow / Snow the Salt Queen, which I will be talking about in this iceberg and in this section. However, there is one thing I'm not going to be talking about, and that is the crime that Snow committed, because that has to do with a real person losing their life. That is a real crime. That is a real thing that happened to real people, and they are still living on, dealing with that grief and that trauma, and it just doesn't feel right to me to talk about the loss of someone's life in the same video where I'm joking about like limbless Hajime and Mikan period pad. Like it's not right for me to talk about something so serious in such a kind of jokey video. So I'm not going to be talking about that. There is a really amazing video done on Snow by the Hotbox where I got a lot of information from. And there are good videos of Snow out there, but there are a lot of bad ones too. There are lots of people that are like, crazy Junko fan kills their best friend. Guys, can you believe this? Or they'll do the stupid thing where like before they do the video, they'll be in like the green screen, like pointing out like this, like I hate those videos so much. If you want to know about the crime Snow committed, please do so respectfully, and please do so in keeping in mind that Snow is not some evil villain. Snow is not some crazy character. Snow is not some out there Junko Kinney. No, Snow is a real person that committed a real crime that real people are still living with to this day. Just keep that in mind. However, Snow is not safe from my bullshit on this iceberg, okay? Because Snow has way more controversies that happened before their crime. Before they committed that crime, Snow already had a list of controversies that just kept piling up to already make them a very infamous person throughout the Danganronpa community. So besides being a terrible person, who is Snow? Snow was a very, very, very popular cosplayer. Very, very popular Danganronpa cosplayer, okay? They were on here doing their thing even when TikTok was Musical.ly, okay? They were big. And they had like 1 million followers and a blue check mark. And for the time, not many cosplayers had that, okay? So Snow was doing something right, okay? I don't know what it was, but they were doing something. So let's start off with their previous offenses before, you know, the whole situation. Let's talk about their previous offenses. The wig commissions, the Junko wig commissions. Do y'all remember when this was a thing? Because I do. I remember when this was unfolding. Junko. Snow. I'm sorry, they rhyme and it's messing with my brain. Okay, Snow opened Junko wig commissions where they charged like $300 for a Junko wig, okay? And one creator in particular, Stardare, am I saying that right? I have no clue, but Stardare ordered one of these Junko wigs, okay? And it was for $300. And not only did it cost $300, there were some like packaging and shipping things that got mixed up, which led to Stardare paying like $400. So when this wig came in a Kroger bag, unassembled, and it looked like this.
No, thank you for your purchase. Thanks for spending $500 on this wig. Nothing. Just a wig thrown in some grocery bags, thrown in a box. We have one clip here, the base wig, another clip that's a little longer, another short clip. We have another clip, one more clip. Now, with no letter, nothing in this. This wig also came with these. I don't know what these are.
This led to some conversation, because in what world is this a $300 wig? I don't know. But Snow went on live and basically talked about the situation, and might I say, they did so with elegance and grace and understanding and compassion.
Clips, and you are going to strip them out of all of these little things, and you're going to add multiple clips on each, multiple steps on each clip. If you look through here, there is a very distinct line. You can see a little ties in the middle where this is 2 waves. Some of them have 3, some of them have more than that. That's how you get the volume. And don't stick your clips on your clips. That's gonna fall off. Stick your clips and stack them up your head. Hi guys, and just for those of you who never like to leave anything that comes out of my mouth, let me show you this real fast. This is 1 clip. You can tell. This is 1 singular clip. This is 1. And this is 2 clips on a singular clip. They are different sizes. This is way bigger and it'll give you a lot more volume, way more than just 2 of these stacked on each other. You'll have more room to stack. Now this, big boy, is my old wig. This is 4. This is 4 of those little clips on 1. And but it doesn't take up the space, and you can just clip 1 on, they clip another 1 on, and another 1 on, and build it up.
Girl, shut the fuck up. You thought you ate that.
So that's the first offense. Also, it was alleged, this is kind of like a little subplot. Allegedly, like, Snow took in like a bunch of kittens and did like a GoFundMe thing to like people to donate money for Snow to like take care of these kittens and take them to a vet. And people were saying that Snow pocketed the money and like actually didn't like pay for like these kittens, and that was like a big thing of controversy as well. And Snow would also go on many elegance, understanding, compassionate.
Oh God, you bring up the kittens right now, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit. I was in and out of the fucking animal hospital for like 2 fucking weeks with those cats, and you know, I did everything I could to save them, and I did manage to save one of them. So, you know what? I literally caught a parasite.
Yeah, so lots of lives of them yelling and basically denying everything that ever happened ever. But that is just the beginning, okay? Because the thing I think of Snow about, when I hear Snow, I think of the graveyard incident. I know, crazy ass name. Snow, another cosplayer and a videographer, went to a graveyard and filmed a Danganronpa AMV, which, you know, already kind of sounds distasteful, whatever, but you know, you can go to cemeteries and graveyards and be respectful and be very well-minded. You know, it is possible. Lots of goth people go to graveyards and cemeteries and do their thing, you know, very respectfully. But then this happened. Snow and the night. I think of Snow about. When I hear Snow, I think of the graveyard incident. I know, crazy ass name. Snow, another cosplayer and a videographer, went to a graveyard and filmed a Danganronpa AMV, which, you know, already kind of sounds distasteful, whatever, but you know, you can go to cemeteries and graveyards and be respectful and be very well-minded. You know, it is possible. Lots of goth people go to graveyards and cemeteries and do their thing, you know, very respectfully. But then this happened. Snow and the Nagito cosplayer physically walking on graves, touching them, allegedly having bare ass on them. Allegedly. Which is crazy. Imagine, like, your loved one is buried and you have your favorite cosplayer on TikTok post a video and you're like, oh my gosh, my favorite cosplayer posted a TikTok, and you look and it's that cosplayer sitting bare-cheeked on your loved one's grave. So obviously they got a lot of backlash about this. Not even just them. The videographer had to release a 5-part statement on Instagram, which ended with, TBH, y'all are just hating. It was fire as fuck. And in regular Snow fashion, they went on live and they gracefully address the situation.
You'd be like, hey, do you want to go hang out in the graveyard? And you'd be like, yeah, and you'd go and you'd smoke and you'd hang out in the graveyard, and like, I've had like, there's been raves at graveyards, but apparently it's like a whole thing, like you're not supposed to like touch the gravestones or like do any of that, and I've never even like I didn't even like have a. Like, I knew that you weren't supposed to step on a grave that's recent buried. Like, if the grass hasn't grown yet, you're not supposed to step on it. And I knew that. And I didn't know there were so many goddamn rules about graveyards. Like, oh my god.
So those are the little stories, controversies, fucked up things that Snow has done that led up to the point of Snow committing an actual crime and getting banned off TikTok and all of that. And might I add, after they committed said crime, they came back to TikTok and were posting like it was nothing, which is actually crazy work. Like, you are on demon fucking time. And unfortunately, Snow is back up on TikTok. Snow, every once in a while, posts on TikTok again under accounts, and usually they get taken down. But Snow is currently on TikTok right now, publicly, might I add. Like, it's not even like a private account that they're posting on. They are posting publicly. And I'm going through their comments, and majority of people either don't realize it's Snow or don't know what Snow did, because they are being way too normal about them posting, okay? There will be comments calling them out and being like, is that Snow? What the fuck? But unfortunately, they are still up. And I am not going to put their username up because I don't want to give them the attention, okay? I don't want you guys running over to their account and giving them views and stuff. However, it is very easy to find, and if you research, you can find it on your own if you want to. Of course, you can mass report and mass block, because why are we giving that kind of person a platform, guys? Okay, so I'm not stopping anyone from going over there and blocking them, but that's up to you. So that concludes this little segment on canceled people. I know there are probably way more, but this is all I got. This is all I got. But all terrifying things must come to an end, and that includes our iceberg here, okay? We are on the last tier. Now, this is like the most odd and fucked up shit, and also a lot of lesser known stuff. Really quick, I want to do an honorable mention of all the terrible fucking fanfics that circulated throughout this fandom, okay? That I'm not going to be talking about individually, because I don't want to talk about like smut and like bestiality and like all of that stuff of like teenagers, okay? So I'm just gonna name them for you. Some might ring a bell, okay? Let It All Out. Oma Has Fun. Horsing Around. Byakuya's Ultimate Punishment. And the Komahina Chastity Belt fic. Now that we got that out of the way, let's also get some other shit out of the way, okay? Let's talk about Kokichi's voice actor being a pedo. Okay, this kind of doesn't have to do with the fandom, because it has to do with an actual like person on the show, but I thought I'd put it in here because it shook a lot of people. Like, it was like really surprising, and you know, it had to do with like him talking with like fans of Danganronpa.
I'm admitting, guys, that I call the 16-year-old hot.
The next entry on this tier is the IRL killing game. Now, even though this sounds really far-fetched and obviously it would never happen, it's the fact that there was a group of people actually trying to plan and seriously trying to go through with an IRL Danganronpa style killing game. Like, this wasn't just like one of like the fan games that like fans made. Like people were actually trying to like make a real game, and I would like bet $100 on the fact that the people trying to make it were like 12-year-olds, because like, let's be real, I don't think anyone with like cognitive brain function would try to make an in real life Danganronpa killing game. But it is something that actually happened, and even though it like didn't happen and is very far-fetched, I think is fucked up and deserves to be on the bottom tier, okay? Because like, whose kids are these, okay? You have freaking like bio homework due by 12, okay? Sit down. This next entry is like similar to Limbless Hajime and the fact that I didn't know how deep this went, and I would really love to make a single video based off this entry because I had no idea it existed, and it goes so deep, okay? We're gonna talk about Komaeda Love Mail, specifically Clown Maeda, okay? Komaeda Love Mail not only has its own fandom wiki page, but it has its own sub pages of like characters and plots and levels. Like, it is something I had no idea existed, okay? And this is a pre-COVID fandom thing. This happened like 2013, 2014 to 2019. It started as like a basic simulation game, but then it completely evolved into something like really fucked up. And I have a video of this guy who's actually going through Komida Love Mail as it is today and like playing it and going through it. And it's just really odd. Like something that started as like a simple like chat room kind of like chat to Nagito kind of thing, like Nagito fan mail, like it's in the name. Something that started off like so like basic and innocent, like turning into like this, like what the like what happened? Where are we? Not to mention, I saw some of the most like crazy like fan art of characters in this like game. Why does this exist? How did we get here? Like, I really would do a deep dive into Komida Love Mail because I'm so interested. Like, who are the devs behind this? Who are the admins? And even if we can't find out who they are, because we can't, they're all anonymous. I would love to just sit down and chat with them. Like, how did this happen? How did you get here, okay? But within Komida Love Mail is a certain character / mod called Clown Maeda. Now, he is a mod on Komida Love Mail, and he is like one of the more like popular characters in this game. I actually, when I was asking people what should be in this iceberg, one person mentioned Clown Maeda, and that's how I found Komida Love Mail. But let me tell you about this guy, okay? Because like what the fuck? Clown Nose, which he also goes by, is a considerate and compassionate person who is happy to offer support in times of need. His solutions to problems tend to involve clown antics, as he believes playfulness and lightheartedness to be important. In his most prominent appearances, he is shown to be a calm and level-headed individual. On the blog, Clown Nose has often acted in more of a chaotic manner. In the past, Clown Nose appears to have been under the control of someone called the Clown Keeper. Later, he is shown to be under the authority of someone called the Boss. He is very obedient to the boss, expecting others to be as well. However, he has a rebellious side, proudly noting that he likes to steal sugar from the dinner. Like, you see how this has layers? The boss? A mod? Like, what is this? I don't even know. Okay, I will and plan on making a separate video about Clown Maeda, okay? Considering the fact that this iceberg took me 2 years to make, though, the Clown Maeda video is probably going to be done in like a decade, so like, don't get too excited. But I would love to just explore this because like, what the fuck? I had no idea this existed. The next entry on here is going to be the Danganronpa hypnosis videos. Now, you know how as a kid you would like watch those like hypnosis videos to like become a mermaid or like a werewolf or something? Now, this kind of goes along with the whole like kinning and shifting aspect of like the fandom. There were these videos or these YouTube videos that were supposed to be like hypnosis videos to like make you become the character, which is like really odd, but considering the fact that like a lot of people were like mentally ill in 2020, if you kinned a character hard enough, these videos were waiting for you. And speaking of kinning and mental illness, let's talk about the Nagito Kinny copy pasta. Bottoms up. Someone who was a Nagito Kinny at the time posted a copy pasta basically proclaiming that they were Nagito, I am Nagito, like it's not a joke, like I will do things to prove to you guys that I am Nagito. And it even got to a point where they made like a separate post like a while after being like, hey, I made that post when I was like literally going through psychosis, please don't repost it, like it just is a part of me when I was going through a really rough time, please don't repost it. And I guess it was really popular on like Tumblr or like wherever it was posted and like being reposted by other Nagito Kinnies. So that just goes to show like the kind of like mental headspace we were in, I guess, as a fandom. Let's continue with our Nagito Kinny antics. Pour up that next shot, okay? Let's talk about the infamous, the iconic, the bewildering Nagito Kinny finger incident. So there were two people on a Discord call, and one of them was a professed Nagito Kinny. And they were such a big kin of Nagito, that they were going to prove it to their friend who they were on call with. And they said, I'm going to cut off my finger. Now, Nagito in-game cuts off his own hand and, like, replaces it with Junko's, like, as I said, like, with his, like, fucked up hand. Honestly, Slay, we love the acrylics, we love the nails. But this person, who was probably, like, let's be honest, like a preteen, declared that they were going to cut off their finger, and allegedly they did.
Vincent, why did I just hear like the unsheathing of a knife? Because that's what you just heard. I'm ready. I'm prepared. Ow, 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 ow.
What the fuck was that? What the fuck? What the fuck? That sounded like flesh cutting.
Ow. It's because you gave him a psychotic episode. It hurts.
And what's like the funniest part about this is that afterwards they took a picture of their finger with like this like shoelace wrapped around it, I guess to like tie it back on, but it's like a shoelace on your finger. And people thought this was real. Spoiler alert, this is not real. This is a hoax. I know some people think it's real. It's not. I'm sorry. I mean, fortunately, it's not real. I mean, we don't want kids cutting off their fingers. But, like, unfortunately, this isn't real. It's a hoax, whatever. It just goes to show. It just goes to show. So, that finishes the iceberg. I want to take a minute to just like highlight and really appreciate all the things that have come out of this fandom and the people that have come out of this fandom that are just really amazing and positive. Even though the Danganronpa fandom is lying dormant right now, there are still so many people who absolutely love Danganronpa and are still very active, still cosplay, still animate, still make edits. And even though we're not in like our 2020 glory days anymore, like Danganronpa still has a fandom. And honestly, I think the fandom is a lot more chill now because like all of like the crazy bitches have like moved on to other fandoms and other things. So hopefully it stays that way. But overall, I think Danganronpa is just like such like a specimen of a fandom, okay? Like it's up there. Now that it's all done, thank you for listening to me yap about the Danganronpa fandom. This video is mostly for like my mutuals on close friends, but if you don't know me and have no idea who I am and have never seen me before and you have watched all this, thank you. Like, I appreciate it. I love to yap. I love to rant. I love like niche things and I love talking about them. So it's just cool that people listened. I really want to do similar videos to this in my YouTuber era. I would love to do a video on the My Hero fandom. I know My Hero's anime isn't over, but the manga is over, and even though I don't think I would do another Iceberg video, the My Hero fandom has, it's just, there's so many possibilities of video topics with that fandom. I would also love to do a video on Komaeda Love Mail, just because, like, I had no idea it went that deep at all. Like, I saw Cloud Maeda and I thought it was like, okay, maybe it's just like, you know, like a fan art of Nagito, whatever. No, this has layers. And I would really love to do like videos about like my other interests. Like I would love to do a video on The Promised Neverland Season 2. Like a good video essay lore deep dive about The Promised Neverland Season 2, what went wrong, and where are all the fans now. Like literally The Promised Neverland was my magnum opus. And I would literally, if I could, I would make like a 3-hour video about it, okay? Because The Promised Neverland had so much potential and I would hate for people to continue living and not know about its potential, okay? So, I could do a video on that. I don't know. I may never post again on YouTube, ever. Who knows? But, like, in my little head, in my perfect world, I can continue yapping and ranting about my interests on YouTube. I think that'd be pretty cool. Especially with TikTok apparently getting banned. Like, where am I supposed to do all my ranting, okay? The fuck? But that's gonna do it for me, you know? That's gonna do it. If there's anything you believe should have been in the iceberg that wasn't, please comment down below. Make sure you like and subscribe and like hit that like button.
I heard things weren't going so well.
Nagito, no!
I just wanted to let you know that I'm here for you. Anytime you need us. You aren't alone in this. You need to lay back every once in a while.